everybody. I am feeling a good week this week. I don't know. I got this weird feeling. And to start this week off, we have some of the tournament gameplay from this past weekend, starting with the PCS Trophy Qualifier number 7 now is what we're at. And it's actually the last chance to enter a tournament and qualify via just entering, one of the PCS Trophy qualifiers. The very last chance will be next weekend for anybody who basically has gotten enough points participating in all of the tournaments up until now, that those top 16 people with those points will go into a single elimination tournament next weekend for a shot at getting a last chance spot for the grand finals tournament about 2 weeks from now on the 21st and 22nd. The top 2 of next week's tournament will also qualify. But for now, we have the last official qualifier that you can just enter online, and it's number 7, and we are starting with the top 8 game between Molotov and Scarface. Good to see some new faces in the top 8 as well. Molotov actually being from Spain, 22 years old, whereas Scarface is 24 years old from France. Molotov here probably having the most tournament experience, having won a previous, or 2 previous, I should say, ESL tournaments, and also having top 8 at a GG Tech tournament as well. As far as lineups are concerned, we have Scarface running the typical mid-range Frostbite, Ash Sejuani, another typical deep lineup, which we have been seeing a little bit more lately, and Vi Lux to round things out, so a little bit of a different deck there with the Vi Lux. Molotov, on the other hand, also running a mid-range Frostbite deck, also running a deep deck, and instead of the Vi Lux, we are going to see good old Ezreal Karma, so very typical lineup from Molotov. So let's get into this first game of the top 8 and see how things pan out.
Taking a look back at this Lux Vi deck, where did it go? It snuck away from me here. We didn't see a lot of cards actually come out from Scarface last game. There was no Mage Seeker Investigator. There was no Mage Seeker Inciter. The Inciter, I'm kind of iffy on. I can take it or leave it. It's a 6/5 after you play one of these 6-mana spells. That's kind of whatever. But the Mage Seeker Investigator I actually like a lot. I think that Detain is a criminally underrated card. Not necessarily in this meta. It has been in the past. There are some metas where it's better than others. But I think with Unyielding Spirit coming out more and more often in these Lux decks, I really like having access to a card like that. And obviously the Investigator gets a lot more value in specifically a deck like this where you do have Remembrance and Unlicensed Innovation on turn 3. You are really looking to play a 6-mana spell pretty much 100% of the time, as well as the Progress Day and the Unyielding Spirits. That's one of the problems that I found with the Thresh Lux deck is they didn't really have any high-cost spells outside of Remembrance to turn on any kind of Mage Seekers. Vengeance came out. I really like Judgment personally, but it wasn't going to be the case this time around. But we are going to get into the game here. Scarface starting with a pretty high-costed hand, but does critically find that turn 3 6-mana spell. And Molotov's side of the board not looking too shabby either. That one of Will of Ionia comes up really big in a matchup like this. We're going to see the Will of Ionia down onto the Moose, not going loose. Actually just getting contained and caged right away. Back in the zoo. Maybe that's what I'll call the hand, the zoo.
Then the Moose, the Moose is definitely not loose going back to the hand by now. We see the Lux be drawn by Scarface here, and I'm curious to see if this deck actually is able to pull off a win against this Karma deck. I feel like, generally speaking... Sorry, now that I'm getting back in the swing of this. Molotov probably has the advantage here with this with the Karma Ezreal deck.
Yeah, the stuns do seem to be really effective against any kind of mid-range deck. Thermo Beam going to clean up the Moose, but now Scarface gets the Lux online, and there's really nothing left in Molotov's hand to actually kill that. Does pick up the Thermo Beam to kill it on the next turn, though. But Scarface, having 2 copies of the Lux, I'd really like to see him throw one down here, does do that. And Molotov going to respond with Eye of the Dragon. That's a pretty reasonable play, I think. Single combat does threaten the Karma still, and popping the barrier on the Lux is not something that you can safely do. So I am fine with this. The concussive palm now picked up. And Scarface has what I would call a juicy progress day next turn, but I don't think he actually has the hand space for it.
Bless you. Are you able to see my screen share too, or no?
Yeah, but Skype's screen share is really laggy.
Okay. Interesting. Let me go. I'm gonna screen share through Discord with you, okay?
Okay.
Because you're a little bit ahead again. And here we go. Alright, that should be better.
Perfect. Alright, I will now cast to all of you in real time as opposed to future time, I guess. You know, it's 2020, and I had the technology to see 5 seconds into the future, and I thought, this is really cool. I can apply this to my cast. But no, everyone wants me to cast the present.
Present. Everybody's about the future nowadays. Come on, let's be real.
You're the one that just dragged me back to the Stone Age, saying, "Oh, you have to cast."
Oh man,
real
I feel
time.
like I'm in the Stone Age with this freaking Streamlabs OBS. Don't even get me started. So we see the static shock come out here. Obviously, not going to do anything to the Vi with that tough, but it will start to get some targets. Pretty importantly, onto that Ezreal. We do already see an Ezreal and Karma in the hand of Molotov as well. So pretty awesome start to the game. Not even turn 10 yet. Already kind of having the pieces needed on the side of Molotov to go ahead and put this game away.
So something that I've been sort of honing in on a little bit more in the Karma Ezreal matchups as of late, and I talked about this a lot in my breakdown of its matchup with Frostbite midrange, is that if you get the attack token on 1, which Scarface did here, you only get 5 attacks before your opponent can play a leveled Karma. And if you assume that your turn 1 attack is all but useless, you basically have 4 attacks to kill your opponent. And with so many stun effects coming out of the Karma Ezreal, that's a tall task for any kind of mid-range deck. Being on
Yeah, and now it's going to be really hard for Molotov to actually win the game at this point with only that one copy of Ezreal. If he finds it, we're at the point where he's even burning cards off the top of his deck now too, which is absolutely nuts.
Have the capability of a karma, not when you just throw down the karma with 4 mana.
Yeah.
Spirit's Refuge does offer a little bit of protection, but that doesn't actually protect you from Concerted Strike, as it is 2 separate instances of damage.
And we just saw Deny get burned, so now Scarface knows there's at least one less copy. It's very unlikely that he even has it in his hand. Scarface is at the point where he actually is not even worried about actively removing Karma and Ezreal. He's just like, I need a progress day. Screw it. We'll do progress day
progress
into a final
gets
spark.
You a final. It's the same.
Yeah,
it's my first priority sequence after the Karma came down. I can go ahead and kill it. I think we are going to see counterfeit copies onto Mystic Shot.
Okay, so I think he's recognizing his only win condition at this point is like maybe getting a Karma and just machine gunning a bunch of Mystic Shots down, because he sure as shit isn't going to get an Ezreal and a Karma down on the board.
Yeah, there are 2 Karma in the deck, as he did play a Karma's Inside of Ages that shuffles in 2 copies. So 10 cards have been shuffled into Molotov's deck over the last 2 turns, as now there are 8 Mystic Shots and a couple of Karmas. But I'm pretty sure if this Karma dies, Molotov doesn't stand a chance. He needs to draw multiple Mystic Shots with the Karma still on field if he wanted to get this one done.
Yeah, and if Molotov is able... So, if Molotov goes the route of, infinite Karma, I think that's really smart on his part, right? Because at this point, I think the infinite Karma is probably the only way he wins this game, right? Is just by staying alive, summoning infinite Karma, and then slowly but surely getting enough damage spells in his hand to just machine gun his opponent's face down to 0. This is a start.
At what point did we discard the Steel Tempest? Was that discarded here, or was that discarded to the Rummage the turn before? Because I feel like stun effects are really one of your best bets for winning this game. And I do want to touch on the fact that Molotov threw the Moose back into Scarface's hand, and that was his only copy of Will of Ionia against a deck with 2 Unyielding Spirit.
Yeah, I do think that stun effects are super important here, because even we see these 2 get excited, pop down from this Karma, and there's just a Radiant Guardian chilling. I mean this thing does heal for 5 every turn, so yeah. I don't just from every aspect of this match right now, Scarface has everything under control. He has damage output, he has heal, he has control, he has tempo, absolutely everything. And there's just I don't think there's actually a way that Molotov wins this game now.
No, he would have needed a Karma top deck. It would have had to been Karma into Deep Meditation, draw 4 Mystic Shots. Somehow my Karma lives to the following turn. But yeah, there are still 3 combat spells in Scarface's hand, so all of those represent 5 HP to be gained off of this Radiant Guardian, as well as Final Sparks. And I think Scarface is trying to figure out if he can actually win the game this turn with some kind of Final Sparks single combat nonsense. It's on the Lux. All right, is Scarface going to go for the single combat lethal? He is not. That was short-lived. Almost. I guess we'll just kill him the old-fashioned way. Why did we deep med after it resolved? I guess we didn't have deny mana. Doesn't really matter. I don't think it really mattered. There was nothing that you could get off that deep med that actually changes your situation. maybe right arm of the Forbidden One, left arm of the Forbidden One. Oh, now we're just going to shuffle. I was actually thinking about that the other day. Like, is there an Exodia in Legends of Runeterra? I'm pretty sure the answer is no. What is it? Okay. Oh, pilfered goods? Uh-huh. Fading memories? Oh, Splinter Cell? Yeah. I feel like I'm hesitant to call anything Exodia because there is actually counterplay to that. Well, if I have a champion out, I can just shuffle more cards into my deck, or I can kill the thing that you're Splinter Souling. Yeah. I don't think so. I think that Fading Memories is one more mana than you actually have available to you. No. Yeah, I mean, you could still shuffle more champions in to get around that. Yeah, yeah. Because I know, like, in Hearthstone, there's, like, multiple Exodias. Yeah, yeah. Fun's a word for it. I follow Kibler on Twitter, so I care a little bit. So Deep versus Karma Ezreal. This is a matchup that we've seen a lot. It's a match we're going to continue to see a lot of over the course of the weekend. And I think that it should be Karma Ezreal favored. And it just doesn't feel like it actually is. The stun effects that it has should play as well into Deep as they do into every other matchup. But we've really seen Abyssal Eye kind of take over the game because it's a card that the Karma Ezreal really can't afford to let the Deep player get through, as well as the Maokai win condition opens up. You don't really have to go for, my 5 attacks before turn 10 to kill you. I can just Maokai you. And as long as I can do that on turn 7 or 8, it's not unreasonable for me to actually just Maokai you before you can get a leveled karma down. There are basically two different ways to play deep in a matchup like this. You can either just kind of stall out the game, play things that toss, and not really start throwing out units until you're deep and everything's resilient to removal, or you can just play every single unit as it comes to you to feel your Maokai. And it looks like Scarface is going for that second one. He doesn't care if Molotov gets to level the Ezreal. If he can get the Maokai off before turn 10, he's going to feel like he got the better end of that trade. I feel like it's Karma Ezreal favored unless the Maokai comes out. I mean, you kind of need 2 Karmas or 2 Ezreals in order to actually prevent the Maokai lethal anyway. And as I had mentioned, Scarface is making a pretty good case for getting to this Maokai lethal before we can even get the leveled Karma out. And once you have Karma Ezreal even out, unless like Molotov would be fine with that because he does have 2 Chump Wumps. But if you can actually expend all of your opponent's resources, because honestly, you don't really care if they play a leveled Ezreal. We're kind of at a point where I feel like I never see Ezreal come out of these decks, even if it's leveled, unless Karma is coming down alongside it. So if you can get to a point where your opponent has to play something like Deep Meditation or Rummage to actually kill you with that Karma Ezreal combo, or at least try to get you lower in that combo, then maybe they just don't have enough cards in deck to actually go for it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it gets 3 targets as opposed to 2. It's a much better tempo play. It's just a matter of it being more mana. And I don't know. I feel like Yone comes. I mean, without Yone in the deck, your opponent plays a little bit differently. Typically, we're seeing a lot of open attacks on turn 7 because there is a Yone in your opponent's deck that you have to respect. And maybe Molotov just plays the deck a little differently because, for the most part, Concussive Palm does the same thing as Yone. If my opponent doesn't go for an open attack, I get to stun one thing and block another. So I've effectively taken 2 attackers off the table. And maybe he just values that play on 7 enough that he can actually stall into the Mina and thinks it's more of a blowout card. We haven't seen it come up just yet, but I mean, it's not like I hate it or anything. I mean, I like Mina. I've played Mina in decks before. It's felt pretty good. But we're not really seeing a lot of like. If you're playing a 9-drop, you kind of look at Commander Ledros and Dreadway Deckhand, or not Dreadway Deckhand. What is Gangplank's ship called? Dread. Is it Dreadway? Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, so Dreadway and Ledros are kind of our 9 mana standards. Like that's what you have to compare every 9-drop to, and I don't think Mina really does as much as a Commander Ledros. Like that's a lot. I don't even know if she does as much as Captain Pharaon, which is a unit that costs less. All right, if Scarface throws out Salvage here, he should draw Maokai. Oh no, I guess not. Apparently, he tossed a lot of sea monsters. Because he has 17 cards in deck after that toss 2, which means that Nautilus shuffled in at least 4 cards. I didn't love this pass out of Scarface. I would have liked to see this salvage fired off, especially because I think that Maokai was sitting at, I want to say 21 out of 25, so maybe we're not quite there yet. Instead, it's going to be Grasp of the Undying coming out. I understand that you want to save Devour Vengeance for this Karma Ezreal setup, but because we're still 2 turns off of that, I don't think Molotov was actually going to throw down either one of the combo pieces, and you could afford to throw out the salvage. Now we're throwing out Devour of the Depths. I don't like this. I wanted to see salvage and play for that Maokai win condition that you sort of set yourself up for by running out so many early units.
Yep, and we do see the Devourer come out on the Chump Wump. And we will see. We'll see how this ends up going here over the next couple of turns. I mean, again, we still haven't seen a Maokai, and I think by this point in the game, like you were saying earlier, the Karma Ezreal has the advantage unless a Maokai comes down. I think that it's at the point where we still haven't seen a Maokai from Scarface, and I think Molotov will just be able to assemble the combo and go for game here pretty soon.
Yeah, that's why I really wanted to see the salvage come out. You are down to, X amount of cards in deck. You're already deep, so you're at about 15. I know I had said he was a little bit more. I think at this point he's at 16. But, with the toss 2 from salvage, you're going down to 12 cards in deck. There's a pretty good chance you draw a Maokai. I think he's still just a little bit off of it actually being turned on, though. If I saw it correctly, he was at 21 out of 25, so even the salvage wouldn't fully activate it. Oh, 20 out of 25 even. So it does need to find a little bit more toss. This death of the 2-drop should actually get it done, though, as that will put that Maokai up to 23 thanks to the toss and the unit death. So salvage will now level the Maokai. Oh, there's the Mina Swiftfoot you were so excited to see. And that actually could be disastrous here. That is going to get a lot of value. Actually, hold on. This seems really bad, actually. I just get to replay my Nautilus and replay my Abyssal Eye, and now I have Devourer of the Depths back in my hand. This seems really bad, actually. Hold on. This was definitely a net negative Mina, I feel, as you just given... Why did we give Scarface back a Devourer of the Depths?
Alright, sorry, I was just taking care of something else again.
No problem. So we're going to see the Karma come down. Does have the Get Excited to protect that from the Devourer of the Depths. Even has the Gotcha to protect it. So we could see the combo developed, but it would be on 0 mana, and then we do see Vengeance out of Scarface as well. I am trying so hard to understand why we played this Mina Swiftfoot. It just seems so net negative for Molotov. Now we're going to see the Vengeance in response. That does mean that Molotov is going to be a little less inclined to get the Ezreal down this turn.
Yeah, and this Karma is definitely going bye-bye. And actually, now that we see the Maokai in the hand of Scarface as well, this might not end too well. I imagine he will be able to deal with this Ezreal. Hold on, I gotta... Let's see, he's at 20. There is another Karma in hand. So this actually still... The Maokai still might be a bit too late here. He'd have to open up with Vengeance from what I'm looking at. Does that sound right?
I don't think he actually dies this turn if Molotov gets down the Karma. So he can afford to kind of wait to Vengeance. I think you kind of want to open with the Vengeance onto this Ezreal anyway, just so that you can push through the Abyssal Eye. Oh, but we go Maokai instead. You might have just thrown the game here, Buck.
I don't think...
Maybe just not respecting the potential of a double Karma.
Okay, so... Now, he doesn't know there's a Karma in Molotov's hand, though, right? When he plays that Maokai. So...
Yeah, I just don't think he respected the fact that Molotov could have had 2 copies of Karma.
Especially this late in the game. It's not like we're talking, turn, 7 or 8 here. This is far in the game where it's pretty likely for him to have 2 copies. And, yeah, I think you're right. I think this does lose him the game. He can block one of these. He's totally A-okay with taking some more damage to the face here. I don't think there's anything in Scarface's deck that can push more damage for lethal. So, yeah, he just takes the hit, and now he's going to have 2 free turns of spells. I think that's just game.
Yeah, I believe so, especially with the Get Excited being one of the cards. That does just represent 10 damage with Karma Ezreal on field. Don't you love that? 3 damage, discard a card, do half my opponent's life total?
Yeah, seems a little busted, not going to lie.
Starts off with the Deep Meditation, actually decks himself out, so says, I'm going to win the game this turn, which I didn't think we had to do. That seemed a little unnecessary to me.
Yeah, it's the power of the burst spells with Ezreal Karma, and Jesus, that feels bad.
So
Wow.
yeah, Molotov kind of a big dick in this one. Says, you know, I'll draw out my whole deck. It doesn't matter to me. I got you this turn, bud. At burst speed, no less, for exact lethal. Man, don't you just love Karma Ezreal? It's so weird because I feel like it's actually been a while since we saw this deck win without Karma Ezreal on field.
Wait, wait. Oh.
Like
Yeah, no,
I
it
never
doesn't.
see this deck win with just Ezreal on field.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and see Molotov take it, even with the questionable plays early on there in one of the first games that we saw. Go ahead and bring it back over to us. So we are just waiting now for the semifinals game to get started here. We're gonna go to a quick break. I'm just gonna talk to Boulevard for 1 second. We should be right back in just a minute or two.
I'm going to the principal's office.
You're in trouble, Boulevard.
Uh-oh.
I'm in trouble. All right, be right back. All right, and that's it for Molotov and Scarface. If you guys are looking for any information on the tournament, there will be a link in the description below, as well as a link to all of the deck lists if you want to go ahead and check those out. So congrats to Molotov advancing, and in the next video, we're going to see some top 4 action. Everybody, as always, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out. All right, everybody. Now we are on to the top 4 for PCS Trophy Qualifier number 7. Again, this is the last actual qualifier that you can just register for online. The very last chance will be next week, where the top 16 in points from all of the qualifiers thus far will go head-to-head in a single elimination bracket, with the top 2 getting the last 2 spots in the Grand Championship come the 21st and 22nd of August. So super excited to finally have that week coming on us. Oh my God, that tournament is going to be absolute fire. But until then, we have the top 4 of the 7th qualifier, Molotov versus Godhawk. As we know, Molotov is 22 from Spain and has plenty of tournament experience, winning 2 previous ESL Spains. Godhawk, on the other hand, 26 years old from Russia and has lots of tournament experience, but has unfortunately missed out just barely in a lot of instances from first place. So we'll see if Godhawk is able to advance here and possibly take home his first tournament victory. So Molotov, as we went over in the last video, is playing mid-range Frostbite as well as a deep deck, and to round things out, a Karma Ezreal deck. Godhawk, same exact lineup. We have a straight-up mirror match all across the board. Ashe Sejuani, Nautilus Maokai, and the Karma Ezreal. So, without further ado, top 4, PCS qualifier number 7, coming right up. Alright, guys, and that is it. Congratulations to Godhawk advancing to the finals here in the 7th qualifier tournament. So, pretty awesome to see, again, a new face in the semifinals. As always, guys, if you're new to the channel, do not forget to subscribe. We got tons of Legends of Runeterra content all the time, week in and week out. And any info you're going to need on the tournament is going to be in the description below. So info on just when the grand finals is going to be, so you guys can tune into myself and Boulevard casting that event, as well as all of the deck lists will be in the description below as well. So cannot wait for that grand finals. Hope to see everybody there. And as always, everybody stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.